networking is that I was approached about 5 or 6 years ago by a guy who said to me, "Can you teach me how to watch a football game?" And I said, "Fill me in." And he said, "I just got invited to a football party, and I turned it down. I'm a guy. I should know, and I'm going to feel stupid." And he said, "But I didn't play growing up. But it's really actually, as I think about it, not football, it's networking, because I'm going to go there to hang out with people and talk with them." So that kind of kicked me off on this whole new little thing I've got going on right now called water cooler football. And if you might have seen this in the Globe about a week or so ago, there was a video of myself. I have partnered with the former athletic director of Boston College, and we teach people how to watch a football game. And the whole point of it is so people can talk about the game around the water cooler. And so what's been really kind of fun is that I was doing this about 4 or 5 years ago. I got into Newsweek right after Obama was elected the first time, and there was a whole story about it, and people called and said that was kind of cool. And then the guy who I was teaching with, New England Patriot, retired guy, retired, I mean, he's like 30. and so he had another child, life got busy, he moved forward. So then about a year and a half ago, I'm on a plane, and we hit turbulence. And it was really, really bad turbulence. And a guy across the aisle from me says, "Boy, you're hanging in there okay." And we're literally bouncing away. And I said, "Yeah, this is a bit tough." But the flight attendants go for their seats, and we all cinch and we just hang on. At one point, we hit a really, really bad bump, and the guy across the aisle from me starts holding my hand. So I said, "Well, what's taking you to Texas?" So we just started idling, chit-chatting, and it turned out to be the athletic director of Boston College. And I said, I was telling him about these workshops. He did not have a business card. What was I going to do, stalk him? And so this was kind of networking, but it was football. So he and I have now partnered to do these sorts of things and talk about really how the two can be kind of thinking of it together. So what I want to share with you is a little bit about kind of what are some different things that you think about before you go into a networking event. And if you don't have those cards out with you, I can give you some. Be sure you grab a couple of these before you go so you can have these. Anybody not have one? You need one? Great. You need glasses? If you want to send me your emails, I'm happy to send you a PDF of this. That is the over 29-year-old version. Sure. Anybody else need them? You guys want to come on down? Come on down. Come on. Who else needs cards? Got extras? Great. You need cards? All right. So one of the things before you go into any sort of a networking event is you want to think about what field are you playing on? What kind of a field are you playing on? Is it a home field advantage? You guys are a home field advantage. I'm not from Norwell. I had to come and visit you. I don't know where I was going, so I had to pull out my GPS, find out where I was going, and kind of think about what I wanted to share. So what Jean has been telling us when we do these workshops together is the team is mandatory to get into the locker room 2 hours before. What are they going on? What's going on in their minds before they play? What was going on in your mind this morning? What do you hope to get out of today? Tonight is the BC Notre Dame game. What do they want to do? Win! They want to win. I went to a lunch yesterday with Notre Dame in BC, and actually the speaker was Bob Kraft. It was really funny on how he was kind of trying to play, neutral. And it was also, I'm from Indiana, so it was really easy for me to be there. Anybody here from the Midwest? Anybody here? Where are you from?
St. Louis.
St. Louis? Yep. Milwaukee. So when you're from the Midwest, you just say hi to everybody. We are uber friendly. Everybody here in Boston thinks I'm an extrovert. I actually test as an introvert. But I explain I'm a friendly, functional introvert. I like all of you, but you will wear me out. I will be happy to go home and network with my remote control at the end of the day and be all by myself. But I'm friendly. What part of St. Louis are you from?
Ladue.
Okay, yep.
I actually live between St. Louis and Chicago.
Okay, where?
Lake Forest.
Okay, yep. Because I grew up in Indiana, St. Louis, and my parents are from Chicago, so that whole sort of a thing. And when you're in St. Louis, it's so funny. The question you ask in St. Louis is, where did you go to high school? If you want to find out how you know somebody, you ask where you went to high school. Here in New England, you ask where you went to school, college, or ideally grad school. And when you're from California, you ask what gym do you belong to. And all of it is, what do we have in common? What do we have in common? We like to connect with people we have in common. Bob Kraft was telling friend of his granddaughter's who broke up with her boyfriend or vice versa on a text message. And he said, you know, when women used to break up with me, they had to look at me. You know that they wish that they hadn't done that now. But he said, he had a really interesting comment. He says, we are connected, but we're not attached. I thought that was very interesting. We're connected, but we're not attached. And the other person on the panel was the CEO of Bank of America. He says, more people have best friends that they've never met. You know, we're really kind of in this whole thing. So why it's so important to come out, try and talk to people, get out of your comfort zone, and kind of make things a little bit more comfortable for you. But you do kind of want to know a lay of the field. You know, you figure. I was like, rarely do I have a chance to speak in jeans. Like, cool, this is great. I can speak in jeans today. It's not something I often do. So you kind of want to know the lay of the land. And then so you've got the field. Today is your field. You've got the whole school. What are some different things that you can do? And one of the things I do before I go into any event is I think about 3 conversation starters. I can talk to anybody. What would be a conversation starter today?
High school.
What high school did you go to, okay? Did you go to Norwell?
No.
What else could you ask?
Football.
Football, yep. What else could you talk about?
What do you do for a living?
What session are you going to? The best thing I will share with you is to stay in today's event. If you want to start a conversation, talk about today's event. Are you familiar with TED, the conference called TED? If you've not gone to TED.com, you will absolutely love TED.com. You will stay there for hours and you will say, daggone it, that woman told me about TED. It stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. And when I was working on my first book, I interviewed the founder of TED. He lives in Rhode Island, and he created the whole conference in a very different way. He's an architect. And he architected it by starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're lucky you're not going to do this today, and finishing at 11 o'clock at night. He had 1-hour networking breaks throughout the day. Because he said, all of you are really interesting, not just those of us who are up here speaking. But if we're only going to be up here talking to you, we don't have a chance to get to know you. And so the whole idea of the 1-hour networking breaks was to make that happen. And it was interesting. So I was at one of the networking breaks, and this man's all by himself. And I have this whole thing. You'll see it. I think it's number 7 on the card. Is it number 7? Yeah, number 7, spot the lone wolves. That I always talk to people who are by themselves. They're miserable. They're more miserable than you. They may not have come with a friend like you two did. Although you two can't talk to each other the whole time. Or you don't know each other?
We do, but we didn't come together.
There you go. So part of it is I always talk to people by themselves. And so the easy thing to do is to say, tell me, followed by anything. Tell me opens up the conversation. It gets them talking. It encourages them to say something other than yes or no. Do you live in Norwell? Yes. Then you want to throttle. You know? Tell me where you live. You could still get a one-word answer, but tell me, you know, how far away you came today, or what is the session you want to come. So begin to engage people in conversation the same way you're going to be reading the field. Where are some different people that you might want to talk to? Now, I was the first person in this room. You all came into MySpace. And I actually learned that from a football player, because he said when he went to the visiting teams, he went on the field the night before. He ran a few touchdowns. He went up to the bleachers, clapped himself. He went to the other bleachers and clapped himself. He went to their sidelines, his sidelines. You want to get a sense of the field. So a couple different things, and this works for me as an introvert, because then you came into my space. I emotionally, psychologically did not have to go into your space. And it's so funny we're in high school, because can everybody remember the name of the girl who was mean to them in high school? You know, guys may not, but all of us women can, you know? And so part of it is we kind of step back into those modes. I was having dinner about a year and a half ago in Washington, D.C. with a guy I knew from college, and I had the hardest time thinking, I'm having dinner with a senior. I'm like, I'm no longer a freshman, but I still had this psyche that I'm having dinner with a senior. It was just the funniest thing how you quickly flash back to these moments of kind of all of that. So you want to have a sense of the field. Uniforms. You know, what are you going to wear to win? You know, no one here is in a black tie. You kind of feel a little bit awkward. So one of the things I say to people is the location and the circumstances determine your clothing. It's the outside that determines your clothing, not you on the inside. Now, you know, everybody can have their own style sort of a thing, but there's going to be rare times when you're going to want to come today in a black tie, nor would you necessarily want to go to the beach, you know, in a black tie, or would you want to show up here in a swimsuit? It'd be a little chilly. So again, you kind of want to know a little bit about what's appropriate with that. I'm going to kind of scale back into the, got too much of the offense, defense. But part of what it is to kind of think about what it is that you want from other people. What can I give to other people? And this is where football changes, because football, you want to win. It's you want something from everybody else. In networking, you want to find out how you can work together. I have two definitions of networking. One is building relationships, mutually beneficial relationships, before you need them. You want to build mutually beneficial relationships before you need them. A couple of months ago, I came out, my car had a flat tire. I called AAA. My car has a flat tire, here's my membership number. I didn't say, AAA, I'd like to join. You've never met me before, but I need your help now. A lot of times when networking goes bad is when people call us and say, you've never talked to me, or I've only met you once or twice, but now I need something from you. And I want you to put down everything that you're doing and help me out. Because it feels like it's a take. It feels unilateral. So you want to think about, so one of the things I'll encourage you to do today is think about what can you do for other people? Who in this room could you help? Who in this room could you find a way to collaborate? It's Lisa. We were just talking before all you came in. She came in early, so she and I had some chance to network. And she said she was a clothing designer. Now, ladies, I don't know about you, but every time I go trying to buy a suit and it has no pockets, I'm thinking, how am I going to do this when I go to a networking event? There's no such thing. Have you ever tried to buy a suit, sir, and it has no pockets?
No, but I've bought sewed up pockets.
But the pockets are there. So part of it, men, this is not an issue for them. They have all of the equipment to go out and network. Women were supposed to look slim and pretty, and guess what? This is not the Oscars, this is networking. I still want to look nice, but I don't necessarily need to have no pockets, because then I have to, then what happens is I'm walking around like a Sherpa. And I have, one bag here and the other bag here, and I'm at an event, and I'm like, oh, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. And this actually happened one time when I put my bag over my shoulder, and I hit somebody. And this is what I call serendipity. I hit this person, I turned around, I said, I am so sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. And this little voice said, of course you didn't. I had hit Dr. Ruth. Now, I shared this story at a college recently, and someone says, who's Dr. Ruth? You could explain who Dr. Ruth is. Yeah, this will be a fun conversation for you two to have later on. I'm staying out of that one. But I said, oh, I have a question for you. She goes, would you like to know? I'm like, not that. But I ended up going to New York and interviewing her. So I turned a negative that I had made this really kind of mistake by, hammering this moment into something that turned positive. But part of it is have your systems in place. So if you did not bring business cards today, that's fine. I'm going to encourage you to maybe have something where you can tear up a piece of paper and give people your email, or use the little you can have your tags here. Find some way for you to say, here's what I'm going to owe you, here's how I'm going to exchange information for you. The business cards that I have, and I give out two when I go networking, I have my water cooler football card, and it has basically my name, email, phone number, and on the back, I have pre-printed met where, met date, and what we talked about. So when you get this card, and you're going through all the cards tonight, or you're going through all the cards in a month, and you find them in your laundry, who was that woman? What did I owe her? And you will have written down, or I will have written down on the back, because I did this with her, what it is you're going to owe each other and how to continue the conversation. The other thing I give everybody when I meet them is I have a little networking cheat card. And it's just basically little networking hints. These are out front, but if you didn't get them, go ahead and grab one and pass them on back. But people love the fact that you're immediately giving them information to help them. So when I'm having a conversation with somebody, how can I help you? Who in my network would you like to meet? What tool would you like to have? What are some different systems or organizations where you'd like to know? I have something called the weather report, which is whether or not you go. Last Monday, nobody went anywhere. Everybody stayed in town. I had a house guest from Britain. She was an interesting woman. She was from Wales. She came over here because she wanted to experience Halloween in the United States. That was on her bucket list. Not on my bucket list, but it was on her bucket list. So, bless her heart, we had to go into Plan B. She couldn't go anywhere. I said, oh, drive around, and I'm like, oh, I'll drop you off at the Prudential Center. That closed at 2 o'clock. The tea closed down at 2 o'clock. And when she wasn't home at 4, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be bad. So part of it is you want to think about what are some different next steps, because the weather report will say whether or not you're going to go. But the last thing I'll just share with you is just to really, if you're feeling at all uncomfortable about this, here's kind of the trick. It's not about you. It's about what you can do for somebody else. So thank you very much for helping me kick off this morning, and I look forward to seeing you later today.